All right, good Saturday morning, everybody. It's a wonderful day. It's a big day of racing. I am excited this morning to have Bri Mott, who I consider you are the queen of social media, Bri. In case
No.
you didn't know, that's my self. But no, it's fantastic to have you on the show here this morning. I know it's early. I appreciate you getting up like you did. Eddie, good morning.
Yeah.
Hey, good morning, Chris. How you doing?
I am fantastic, and just for your honor, Eddie, I know I think you got the Stable Blue shirt on
Yeah,
today.
you got the
I
Lake George shirt.
I got the Lake George shirt on today. I'm in a holiday weekend type of mood, and it's July, my favorite month, and I just can't wait to get up there in northern New York, and Saratoga is right around the corner. So I'm really
Yep,
excited
yep.
about that.
I'll be out on Lake George this later this afternoon with some friends hanging out. Uh, Hopefully, I'll still be able to watch the races while we're out there boating around a little bit.
Yeah, Eddie,
But
have you ever handicapped on the mini haha?
it's funny. My wife and daughter were on the Mini Ahaha. If you remember, this is probably going back 7 years ago. The day before it capsized with too many people on the boat. So I've never gone on the Minnehaha, nor do I desire to go on the Minnehaha. I love it. I think it's a great attraction, but no, I'll just get on a pontoon boat and just chill on the lake. Bree, good morning, by the way.
Good morning, guys. How are you? I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Well, I guess I met Bree maybe right before Stable Duel started up. So,
Probably
to,
before we launched, because I feel
yeah,
like if we were meeting, I was, yeah, probably
yeah, you.
before we launched.
Oh
But
yeah, you guys were already in the works and
yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that, and you know, this is the neat thing about Twitter is I met you because of Twitter. I met Chris because of Twitter at Gulfstream, and I'd like to say that I consider you guys friends now, and that's the neat thing about this. I'd say 98% of the people that you meet from Twitter are really good people. So it's great to have you on, and I'm excited for the show.
Thank you. No, I think, to Chris's point of July, I guess I never thought of it, but July is probably one of the most exciting months for horse racing. You've got Saratoga starting up, you got Delaware, Colonial Downs is obviously back. We're going to talk about the Delaware Oaks today. Like, I think July is kind of where it's at for the horse racing world.
It's a great break or a good insert, so to speak, because at the beginning of the year you've got Gulfstream, you've got the Triple Crown races, the prep races going in, and then there's June. Right after the Belmont, there's a little bit of a lull, and then like you said, you got Del Mar, you got Saratoga, and then this week, because of 4th of July, you've got 5 or 6 tracks all having good cards. So
Yep.
it's hard. It's hard just to focus on one, but Delaware to me is kind of close to my heart because I grew up not far from there. It's one of the first tracks I ever visited. So I'm glad we're going to touch on a few of the races there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too.
But let me start by saying or asking. Tell us a little bit about you, your background, how you got into horse racing, and also how and make sure you touch on your equestrian riding as well, and then how Stable Duel came about.
Yeah. I'll try to keep it short because it feels kind of long. But so I think one of the cool things about my journey in the horse racing world is I was not born and raised in horse racing whatsoever. Not a big gambler or a gambler at all in the beginning. So my first race I ever saw was in 2009. It was at Keeneland, and I'm actually from Syracuse, New York. So my grandmother, bless her heart, tried to get me to go to Saratoga a lot. And I think I had gone to Vernon Downs in middle school on some field trip, right? So when grandma's like, oh, let's go to Saratoga, like we can do this breakfast with the works thing. I'm like, oh, grandma, no. Like I've seen horse racing, Vernon Downs, and I just have no interest. So bless her heart, I turned her down. And thankfully, before she was passed, we were able to go and do breakfast at the work at Saratoga. But that's how little interest I had in horse racing growing up, and was not surrounded by it. But loved horses. Got involved in like 8th grade on a ranch in New York where I worked to ride. We didn't have money, a single mom sort of situation. So I worked there and kind of like got the hard work lessons type thing. You fall off, you get back on. And that's where I learned a little bit of horsemanship, and then went through high school, went through college, and thought I wanted to be a vet. So that led me to Lexington, Kentucky in 2009 to Ashford Stud, which is where Justify and American Pharoah stand, and some other great stallions, Uncle Mo. Obviously, a lot of people know at least the offspring coming out of that place. But so I did 6 months there on the foaling side, so foaled out mares. Really got a crash course into horse racing, but from the breeding and sales side, and then was lucky enough to go to Saratoga for a summer and work for Nick Zito walking hots. So I'll kind of blast through the rest of it. I've worked for vets. I went overseas, worked in New Zealand on a farm, but I've done a lot from, kind of the ground up in horse racing to, now the front end. And so I worked for Team Valor International, which is an ownership group, fantastic group of people, owners. Barry Irwin definitely heads that enterprise. And I learned more on the racing and, getting people involved, whether it's ownership or fans, the money that changes hands. I learned a lot. That was a huge crash course as well. And I did that for 6 years while I started my own company called Fashion at the Races. So the reason for Fashion at the Races was to try to get new fans involved in horse racing rather than advertising just the gambling side. You're advertising kind of the lifestyle. So the fashion, the champagne glasses, Saratoga, the parterre boxes at Monmouth, like advertising that side of it to get them involved and eventually convert them to fans and to gamblers. Because really that's how I became a gambler, is first going in dresses and heels, and now I go in jeans and tees, and I gamble far more than I did then. But to me, I was just as important then as I am now. So
you wear this T-shirt when you go, right?
Yeah. Size doesn't matter, but lengths do. That was a proud first design of the Stable Duel Enterprise. I'm not gonna lie. So, but yeah, no, I mean I guess that was pretty long in itself. But I really have done. I'm sure some people get on Twitter and are like, "What does she know?" And this industry is there's so much, like I have so much to learn still, but I really have done a lot from the farm, the breeding, the sales, gone overseas, the vet side, the ownership side, the fan side, the gambling side. I do understand a huge big picture of it. And I'm very blessed to have that understanding through my, my career, I guess.
So first off, I do want to give SP Nation Sean a shout out, because he's one of the nicest people I've ever met. I mean, he's he's gold, and he's actually going to Colonial Downs for opening weekend. So,
fun!
And then he's gonna come up to Saratoga, and I'm gonna see him and Pops. So that'll be cool. But tell us about Stable Duel. How it came about. I'm sure it had something to do with FanDuel and DraftKings and bringing that aspect into horse racing.
Yeah, so Stable Duel is the brainchild of a Florida horseman named Augie Greiner. And he came up with the game premise. And to be honest, I actually don't know, 100% what's the thinking if it was FanDuel and DraftKings, but the familiar kind of gameplay of fantasy football that everybody gets behind. Like even my family plays fantasy football every single year. Our entire family, my girl cousins, my guy cousins, my aunts, uncles. I think we've got my grandfather. I don't know that he ever freaking checked it, let's be honest. But, it's a way to get everybody involved into something and have interactions and engagement. And that's exactly what Stable Duel does. The other side of it is, to the binary results of a pick 5 and a pick 6, where you pick a single and your single loses and your ticket is just squashed for the most part. Stable Duel doesn't do that. So if, you picked a horse and you spent a lot of money in the Stable Duel app and it gets second, like it might be a small bummer, but you're still in the running, you know, like you're not out and about of the money or the game leaderboard. You're still feeling that sweat races 1 through 10. So it's a really great way, even for seasoned handicappers, but for beginners to get into racing. It lowers the barrier to entry of learning like past performances about the horses, the professionals, the jockeys, the horses, the trainers. It's just a really great way to get into racing, to stay in racing, and to gamble for that. So it really does hit all three. And, you know, on a higher level, like it's our entire mission at Stable Duel is to give to the industry as a whole. We do charity games all the time. We, you know, support aftercare. But the other side of it is we're not taking away from anybody. We pay every racetrack that we have a partnership with. That pays the horsemen's groups as well. It's all negotiated ahead of time. The second part of this is our game has proven that we increase handle. So someone playing our game is betting more money on the side. So as a whole, we're kind of like this golden ticket that is just a fantastic way to play horse racing, but also from the industry side, it's a fantastic partner to, you know, bring along the way, because it just does a lot of, you know, fills a lot of the empty space that sometimes is there.
And let me add, I mean, a couple things you touched on. You know, number one, yeah, it's a gambling entity, so to speak. But what people need to know more about is what you guys do in the background as far as aftercare for the horsemen. You also have free games, so everybody has an opportunity to jump in and play the free games. But honestly, in my opinion, Stable Duel, I don't know if this was one of your main thoughts in establishing it, but it's growing the game. You're getting people that maybe only played fantasy football, baseball, and other sports, and now hey, let's try this because we know how to play DFS games. Let's try this game. And all of a sudden, maybe they get interested and get hooked on the game. So it's a great way of growing the game. And that aspect of it really needs to be, I don't want to say promoted more, but I think people just need to understand that aspect of it more.
Yeah. And, you know, the industry average for horse players, for fans, always is skewing far above 45 years old. You know, there's conversations all with the execs all over, whether it's racetracks, it's ADWs, you know, they're worried about their customers leaving and not coming back because they just don't exist. For Stable Duel, actually more than 50% of our players are under the age of 45. So we're also proving that we're bringing the younger generations in and keeping them, which, you know, that's kind of the boring exec side of it. But I'll tell you, it's really fun. Like Twitter for me, and thanks Chris for that. Like the Twitter queen, it's just honestly, I have had a wonderful time interacting with people on Twitter, answering their questions, even if they're a little mean, you know, and learning myself. I think that's the other side that horse racing is very scary. You know, as soon as someone has been in the industry for a long time, there's like this mentality that it's like, oh, well, they're a $5 bettor, we don't need them. Or, oh, well, she thinks that this horse is going to win, you have no shot. Like, why wouldn't you just say like, hey, you know, good luck with your pick today. I think that this horse is going to win. I'm worried about that filly's ability for the distance. I just don't understand how some people are just so easy to be like, and I like the banner too, but it's very discouraging to bring new people in when you treat them like that. And so for me, social media has been wonderful because, you know, Sean is a perfect example. Eddie, Chris, you know, I've only interacted with you for a few days, but I just think there's such an opportunity to, you know, like intertwine elbows and go to the races and have a good time. And my gosh, like you might know it all and your horse can lose, or you might know nothing and you bet the gray. That's my mom. She bets nothing. And
your little buddy is getting some TV time.
The little one's next to him, but she can't be seen. She's over here whining.
So Chris, you go ahead.
Okay. No, it's interesting, Bri, that you say that Stable Duel does not hurt the betting handle. And I heard you say that before. I think that's a good point to that because, an example would be when I play Stable Duel, guess what? I'm also betting. I'm putting the work into the card. I'm going to play that and I'm not going to sit idle. So I'm actually more likely to play that track than I normally would. So I think that's an excellent point that you bring up.
Yeah. And you're more likely to play all of the races or more of the races than you would by not playing Stable Duel, because how the game is set up, you're picking horses from all the races. So, your attention is kept from the first race to the 10th race or however many that there are. And the other cool thing is you're on the morning line odds for us with picking the prices. So when you see those shift, live odds in traditional, that's going to push you potentially to bet. Maybe the odds went down. So your thought is, more people are on this horse. So my opinion was right. Or maybe the odds went up and you're like, cool, I have more value here. I'm going to do a place and a show on this thing. There's a lot of thought process that the game kind of brings.
Well, I can honestly say that playing Stable Duel for the past, what's it been, a year and a half, it's helped my handicapping. It's improved my handicapping because I always, prior to Stable Duel, I would always handicap, and I try to pull the DRF form on like a Wednesday for a Saturday card where it doesn't show the odds. But, you're always looking at the odds. You're always looking at where the money's going when you're handicapping anyhow, for the most part. But Stable Duel makes me look for value a lot more. And, because obviously, the premise of Stable Duel is you have a certain amount of money. You have to pick 10 horses and you have your allotment. And eventually you don't just want to end up with only $250 left and pick a long shot in a 10 horse field, because you probably could hurt you in the long run. But it does make me look for value, which then I turn from Stable Duel to my handicapping aspect, and I'll play that horse for value as well because I landed on him.
I want to do, so Jim from Hawthorne, who does the morning lines over there, I'm going to rope him in because I would really love to understand, what the thought process is on setting like the morning line odds. And I know that different people work, so I'm going to grab somebody else too. But I want to learn that because some people will say, like, if you understand a bad or a good morning line, like that's an advantage in Stable Duel, which is understandable. So I would love to pick their brain and learn more about setting those morning lines and, maybe
all right,
give our players.
You need to talk to Pete Aiello at Announcer Pete, because he started setting them, and he actually explained to me, they have an algorithm that they can't make every horse 3-1 or 5-1. They have to make, and I learned about how, some people gripe about what terrible morning line was on that horse, but, they have to make certain horses 20-1, 30-1 sometimes just to fit into that algorithm that they use.
I'm muting to save you all from my dog's little squeaks. But yes, okay. So then I'll hit Announcer Pete up too. So those,
because I know
you know
him. I know you know him. So
yeah, no, I find that really. I'm excited for that. I find that interesting for sure.
All right, so Chris, you better take control, or else Bri and I are just going to sit here and chat all day long.
I'm enjoying it, and Bri, to be honest, I did not know your background in horse racing, and I think this is really good, and I got a feeling that, listen, you love horses probably first and foremost over anything, and especially for somebody that decides that, hey, I'm going to go to college to do this and really invest in it. So I love that fact. Right. I did not know that you were a hot walker in Saratoga. Any good stories from the hot walking summer?
Oh my gosh, so many good stories. First of all, if you hot walk for an entire summer, you will have the best calves you will ever have. Maybe the left one is a little bit better than the right, since you're always going to the left. Saratoga, everybody knows, is a magical place. And I know like the Del Mar, inhabitants are like, no, Del Mar's better. I think Del Mar is great too, but sorry, a summer at Saratoga is there's just something about it. But the backside,
nothing like it. There's nothing like it. There really
the backside is even better. At 5 a.m, the sun's coming up. You're cleaning buckets. You're out there prepping by raking in certain ways. Like if you go to the backside, most of the barns are absolutely pristine. Like there are flower pots hanging, colors depending on who the trainer is. Like I think Bri Mott had purple one year, just stuff like that. The fruit truck, but it's this guy who's yelling fruta, fruta comes through. And so you go and you get breakfast from him. Then a couple hours later, another truck comes through with more food. There's always a chance to eat on the backside. Okay. So good stories. So Nick Zito's awesome. He's a typical New Yorker. But he had such love for his girls that worked for him. So when he would get really mad and he would go on like a yelling spree or something, he would tell the assistant trainer, he'd be like, all right, get the girls out. And so we would go for a walk and then he would yell at all of his guys. And then we would come back. Like he never wanted to see him like in a super New York swearing way. And I remember that. And that was one of them. Oh my gosh, there's some I probably can't say on camera.
That's great. We do the same thing with Eddie too. We just got to send everybody out. We don't want anybody to see the bad side of Eddie. Eddie's always happy and he's always smiling. So let it roll. So Bri, I got one more serious question. I guess. What does horse racing, in your opinion, actually do well?
Oh my God. And I was worried you're going to put me on a spot on a personal matter, but this might be the biggest spot. What does horse racing do well?
Well, let me flip it. What does it not do well? Or what are the biggest opportunities?
Well, that's a loaded question.
Well, so that one's easier. And it's not to say that we don't do anything well, because again, I love this industry where I'm committed my life to it for a reason, right? There's a ton of opportunities to improve, just like there is in anything, from horsemanship to aftercare. I actually think we do aftercare very well. It's just very hard to change views per se. And I don't know everything. So I know that I'm going to get hit up. Like someone's going to be like, oh, well, look at Charlestown or Mountaineer. Like I understand. I haven't gone and screened the entire backside of horses and Mountaineer. But, from the TAA to New Vocations to the TRF to Karma in California, the New York one, I actually think we do aftercare really well. And then there's people out there like myself that just take horses off the track from people that we know. And I don't go through programs. So I have Eddie wants to talk about my eventing. So very quickly, I have an awesome off the track thoroughbred that I got, I guess, 2 years ago now. His name is Mac Jagger. He was from Victory Racing Partners. I received a fantastic email from one of his partners yesterday that it's on his bucket list to come visit this horse that raced maybe, I think, like 5 or 6 times. And he has like all these memories from like most of the people in this industry, 150% love the horses. They want to care for them and they want to put them first. Are there bad eggs? Absolutely. Overall, do we want them out? Yes. We do. So I actually think aftercare, we do very well. There's always room for improvement, but we're working on it. And it's just very hard for the public to understand that and see that. So that's very like little of all the things that we do well, but I actually am proud of our aftercare. The Real Rider Cup is coming up this weekend. That's just one of the main, things that people do. And that's from Anita Motion, a trainer. She was a trainer before Graham, by the way, in case anyone didn't know that. But so Graham Motion's wife, she's fantastic. What does the industry not do well? I think actually, you know what? Here we go. Here's the round. So I think the younger generations, this is kind of D-Day for us, if you will. And I don't know if I'm a younger generation anymore, but I see on the breeding side that the sons and daughters or the younger generations come through. They start to get press. It's all exciting. These new AirPods, I'm just not a fan of. And then they go from being these innovative, like, I love racing, I want to change it. And they like go then to the old timers mentality. And I don't know if it's like they have suddenly gotten the fame and they just don't want to rock the boat, or what it is, but then they're all of a sudden no longer the ones that are like, we can change the world. They're like, oh, no. Like, we're not going to do that over here. So I think that I don't even know how to describe that, but it would be, I think the innovation, disruption, that side needs to stick with us as we continue forward, because that's what's going to change the industry. Not like, okay, I just got a big paycheck from this ownership group and I don't want to piss them off. So yeah, no, I can't do that.
That's great insight. I love it. So, and let me switch back to Stable Duel, because I have to ask you this too. I have not played a ton of Stable Duel. And one of the things I actually realized this week is a lot of our followers at Horse Racing Today don't know a lot about playing tournaments. They don't play a lot of horse tournaments. A lot of them didn't even know what a Stable Duel was, which actually surprises me, because I stay pretty up to date with everything going on. And Stable Duel's been around for a little bit. It didn't just start last week.
Chris, you can say it. It surprises you because I'm very loud and annoying on social media. And how do people miss it?
You're great, but I'm just surprised there's people out there that don't know about the product. So let me ask you about, because this is different than playing a tournament, the win place tournament, because there's a lot of other factors here that you have to think about, and I have not mastered them. Now, the good news was, I think last week I actually dabbled in one, and I finished 9th. I think I was in top 10.
That was his first go at.
I know. That was awesome.
So we'll see.
And by the way, I got him onto Stable Duel, just so you know.
Thank you, Eddie.
I'll pat myself on this shit back.
I need another hobby and another place to go, Eddie. I don't have enough time now. But no, what have you learned, Bri, about strategy and some of the things you're looking at? What are your best tips for players?
Yeah, so I'm going to pull the tips from very good players rather than mine per se. We have a string of players that play every single day and they do well. It's important to note that they lose as well, because some players will be like, how do you compete? They lose. Okay, they do lose. So our game is based off of finishing positions 1 through 5th. So you get positive points there, but your variance, which is why Eddie's got this shirt, is the lengths won by or beaten by. So you get 60 points for your horse that finishes first. So if you picked the 3 horse and it finishes first, 60 points is the baseline, but however many lengths it won by, you also get that added. So if you have a blowout win, so 7, 10, 11 lengths, like that's going to fluff up your overall points, because you're going from 60 to 67 or 71. On the flip side, though, any of the horses that fall behind the winner, they have lengths subtracted. So if you get beaten by 3 lengths for second place, it's 40 base points minus the 3, so 37. So your whole goal really is, obviously picking winners is number 1, but you just want the winner or to finish as close to the winner as possible. So that's where the salary comes in and your strategy of selecting longer shot horses, because you can't pick 10 2-to-1s in a $50,000 salary. You'll run out of money. A 2-to-1 costs $9,000. So obviously you can't, spend $90,000 when you're only awarded $50,000. So you're going to have to get the $500 horses, the 250s, the 12-to-1s, the 15-to-1s. 10-to-1 costs $1,000. I usually try to stop there. 8-to-1 is $3,000 for myself. But those horses, you just want them to finish within the top 5 or as close to the winner. So you're not trying to win with a $500 necessarily. It happens. But you just want to finish as close to the winner as possible. So
that's a great point, because as I said, it's helped my handicapping standpoint from typically when I go to a racetrack, I'm going to be at Saratoga, maybe the whole meet. But I only I'll have strong opinions on 3 races, but those other races, and literally I'm not blowing sunshine here, but because of Stable Duel, I will play other races and just look for a horse that I think is going to hit the board. May not win, but I'm going to get 12, 15, 20-to-1 on this horse, and I think it's going to come in the top 3. And so that's where it's kind of helped me. And that's a great angle with Stable Duel. You can't just always look for the winner. You want to, if you got strong opinions, pay the 9,000 for that 2-to-1 shot. But you also want to find a horse that, hey, this horse only cost 1,500, and it's going to probably hit the board. So, you take your second, third, even fourth place horses and get the value there.
Yep. And truly, if there's ways to, if you're handicapping an entire card, whether it's for stable duel or for a day, just doing your traditional bets, to me, you might always as well do both.
Just
go.
I mean? Yeah, just go with it.
And really, while you're handicapping, put your winners, your first and seconds down, and then throw a value pick into every single one. So when you have, first and second and value, you can go back to your stable duel and start to grow that strategy. And we do limit entries. That was huge feedback from our players early on. But some contests, you're allowed 2 or 3 or 1, just 1 entry. But you can really work with your strategy if you put those notes down on the entire, DRF or BrizNet, whatever you're doing, where this is my first choice, my second choice, and my value pick, because you're going to have a value pick or a few in your stable duel. So it's just a great way to really, I think, prepare for the entire day, because then you've got your pick 3s, you got your doubles if you want to do those, you got a pick 6 kind of built out if you'd like to do that, and then you have stable duel strategies also built in. So it's a kind of way to do all 3 different ways to make money with just one time of going through the card.
All right, so Chris, just 2 quick things here, and then maybe we should get to the Delaware card. But first thing is, one thing I will say about stable duel as a strategy is look for short fields and use multiple horses in those races, because that's where you can get, like, in a 5-6 horse field, you can get like $1,000 horse that has a chance to win or come second, where everybody else is going to be 8-5, 2-1, 5-2. The other question is, because of your travels in the industry earlier on, have you ever been to the Melbourne Cup?
I have not been to the Melbourne Cup, but I have been to Flemington, Mornington. I saw Black Caviar race in person 3 times.
That's pretty cool. I've been to the Melbourne Cup.
There.
Black Caviar, I could make an argument, is maybe the greatest horse ever. I could argue
Maybe. Come on now.
Well, because I put Frankel above her, and Secretariat you have to have there. So
I feel like the greatest racehorse of all time arguments are literally just ways to just talk smack, because at the end of the day, they're all fantastic. It would be impossible to put them up against each other. I don't know. So it's just a way to be like, Eddie, you're an idiot. No.
Well,
a
lot of people.
That's the only reason to have the greatest racehorse of all time conversations.
A lot of people would agree with what you just said, that Eddie, you're an idiot. So we'll just go from there. Well, let me give it back to Chris, because I've totally taken this away from him, and he's the brainchild.
This was a lot of talking about me. We need to, Chris, help this out.
Well, Chris is the brainchild of SpotPlays,
so we'll, so what I want to do is let's kick it off. And the first thing is, so when we look at it, the first race, and I know the Stable Duel has a lot of tracks today, Bri, when I pulled it up, and Delaware has their big card. I think they have 4 stakes races. I think Woodbine has a big day today. They have what is that called? The Canadian Cup or something?
It's
Gulfstream has the Summit of Speed today, I think it is, or if it's not the Summit of Speed, they have a couple of stakes races today as well.
Yeah, today's a fun day. I mean, I'm focused kind of on the turf racing, obviously, besides the Oaks, but Woodbine has 4 huge stakes up there. I think I've been there for this day for a Team Valor horse back in the day. So Woodbine's awesome. But yeah, we've got 2 games at Delaware. We have the Diamond and the Jewel contest, which I fully realize that a Diamond and a Jewel are the same thing, but needed contest names. And then we also have the Highlander Stakes, which is a winner take all at Woodbine, and then another contest at Woodbine too. So get in there. It'll be fun.
Okay, so Bri, I'm gonna put you on the spot. I'm gonna let you go first here. This race 6, the Oaks with the fillies. This is a big race, obviously, and it's a grade 3. Who do you like in this race, and why?
I actually like Midnight Stroll here, and I'm a little worried that she's going to be bet down. So 9-2 morning line. I mean, not a ton there, anyways. But throwing out the Black-Eyed Susan, so you go back, you got a 7 furlong win. Was pulling away a little bit there. I know that we're, going a little bit farther on the distance. Before that, had a little over a mile, a win by 2 lengths. I like this horse. It's been working just fine. I think Midnight Stroll. I've been between Republic, Midnight Stroll, and then my value pick, I guess, is Morning Matcha, if that's how you say it. Isn't that like you're drinking grass? Matcha juice. But speed figures for Matcha, it doesn't give me much, and so I'm gonna stick with the 2 horse here, Midnight Stroll. I just have a thing. I don't like 5-2s, and I know that that's not a good attitude when you're a handicapper. But when it's a 5-2, I'm like, I can't. So okay. I know Eddie's like, oh, he's over there. He's like, let me at her.
Eddie's got the 5-2. I can see it in his eyes.
No. I don't totally disagree with Bri at all. I actually have Midnight Strolls. I have Midnight Stroll second, though. I have Midnight Stroll second. I like Republic a lot. I like it a lot for a couple of reasons. Fortunately, I know Safi Joseph pretty well, and he's been dying to get this horse on dirt, and it's only run on the Tapeta at Gulfstream, and the reason for that, one of the reasons for that, is that a race that was on schedule for dirt got rained off. If you look at this horse's works since its last race, I mean, they jump off the page. And here's something Chris and I talked about on our last show. People look at works and if they see that bullet work, or they see 3 out of 60 and stuff like that, that's great. But you got to look at the times, because I have, and you actually, I remember you saying this, that you look for a horse. If a horse runs 4 furlongs in a training, you want it to be, I think you said you want it to be under 49. That's something you look for. You look for a specific time or something like that. But this horse, since its last race at Palmettos, did 4 furlongs in 47-2. 5 and 59 flat, and another 4 furlongs in 46-2. Those are all super good times. And I think this horse is bred to run on the dirt. It's out of Strong Mandate, who's out of Tisnow, and Cowboy Cal on the Dam Sire side. I really like I like the 1 and the 2, but I like the 1 a lot. And my value play would be the 4 horse Chardonnay, only because might get loose on the lead.
Chardonnay is my name play, in case that's a thing.
Well,
you're playing names, it's Chardonnay.
It's actually the reason I picked the horse, because I got Bri Mott on here, so she's got her Chardonnay glass.
I thought you were gonna bring a glass of Chardonnay and be like, Eddie, it's 9:40.
Yeah. So Eddie, what was the numbers? I'm writing this down. She's got Midnight Stroll. Who are you taking?
The number 1 Republic, and I'm playing a 1-2 exacta. Sure. The 3 horse is the horse to beat on the odds, but I think the 1 is going to show you something today.
Okay. I agree with the 1-2 exacta. Well, I would box it just because I'm hoping that the 2 wins. But.
Yeah,
a $1 box.
Maybe I'll just go flush. I don't know.
Maybe a $20 box. I'm looking at this race. The only thing I would say about this race is, I'll tell you, it looks like it has some pace here. So I've been sharing the pace charts that we have. I think it's easier for me to do it this way so you can actually see it. So when you look at the pace of the race, what was interesting is actually the 8, for some reason, showed up on the computer, said the algorithms were high on the 8. And I went back and looked at this. I mean, I know the horse won, and it's moving up. Listen, it won a maiden last time out. It's first time going against open company. So I'm not a big fan of that one coming in. But when I look at the charts here, you can't see it in the bottom. It's blocked, but this pace should be hot. It should be and we got 4 early speeds, so they could all collapse each other. And when I looked at this, I see the 8 and the 4 being the ones that probably survive on the front end. So I think you can just toss the 7 and the 6, because I don't think, and you can see it here on my screen in the middle, the early pace, the 7 and 6 are probably going to fold, is what I'm thinking. So when I look at this, I think it's between, I like the 1 because he doesn't have a ton of races, so there's not a ton of data there, but the 5, 3, and the 2 are the 3 that really stick out to me. I am going, because of that, I have to take the 3 here. I went back and looked at it, and I wanted to find some reasons of why to take the 1. So I think it's a 2 contender race. For me, it's 3-1. I guess when I'm playing Stable Duel and I'm looking at the contest today, I'm gonna go and see what I have left for salary and how I'm gonna play it. I just don't see how the 3 doesn't finish in the money. I don't know what the dollar amount's going to be on. What is it on 5-2, Bri? Do you know off the top of your head?
5-2,
I think it's 8,000, isn't it?
Ooh. No, 3-1 is 8,000. So I'm pretty sure you're 85.
Okay, that's a lot. That's a lot. So I may just swing with the 1 here and take a shot. Just knowing, what Eddie just said, where it's it's coming up, it's being shipped in. There's a lot of positives here, and I'm looking for improvement. And this filly will have to improve. But I'm looking at it. I want to take the 5 so bad. I really want to take the 5 so bad here, because the pace setup looks like it's a perfect race for the 5. But here's my concern with the 5. And again, the 5 is 6-1. That may be one of them when I think about Stable Duel. She's going to be flying late. So if you can get some value and that horse finishes second or third, that actually may be your better pick. On Stable Duel, here's my concern, though. If there's no scratches in this race and there's 4 early speed horses, I think the front end's going to get too far away. This 5 morning matcha, when you go back and look at it, the 2 wins, the horse had to be at the second call was 1 length off the lead and a half a length. I don't know if this is a true stalker that's going to be able to close from far back. I think this is a better horse probably for underneath, maybe in the exacta, but I'm thinking more from a trifecta standpoint. So
that's great analysis.
I just want it to be known that, and I fully realize that Chris put a far better analysis to pick this horse. But if the 5 wins, I'm going to talk so much shit on Twitter to you, Eddie. It's coming hard.
well, Chris mentioned the 8 horse, and I think
is that your value?
I think most of Twitter knows how much I love Deputy Minister lineage, and this horse is sired by Ghost Sapper, who's out of Austin again, who's out of Deputy Minister. And if it rains, which it looks like it might, I will be betting the 8 horse 100%, because it's the wet track breeding, even on the dam sire side of things, out of exchange rate. I think it is the 8. The 8's going to be in all my plays no matter what, because I don't think the 8 has to go to the front. I think it can sit there. As Chris mentioned, there's enough speed here. But you're going to have to talk me off the ledge on the 1.
Okay. All right. So Eddie, why don't you go ahead and take the, let's talk about the 7th, which is the Kent, the grade 3. It's a mile and an 1/8 on the turf, race number 7. Why don't you go ahead and talk about that?
Well, when I first looked at it, I really liked the 3 horse Elizer. And I do like it, but I'm playing the 3 horse Elizer second. What I do like about this horse is Clement has 2 horses in this race, right? He's got doesn't he? Or am I looking at it wrong?
He's got the import, the 3.
Yes.
And then your other one is not in there.
No, that's you know what, I was looking at the race 5 there for a second. No, but what I like about this horse is that his first race in the U.S. was a speed favoring track. He closed in a grade 2 and then kind of flattened out. But I watched the replay of that, and it ran awkwardly during the race. The line says that it leapt at the start, So it didn't break well, but then it tried to pull into contention, and I think it just tired. And that was her first race since October of last year. I do like that horse a lot, but I landed on the 6-horse main event, George Weaver's horse. One of the reasons I landed on that horse is I know that George Weaver likes Eric Cancel, the jockey, a lot. And I think Eric is riding this horse for a reason. I don't think he's just picking up the mount. In its last race, maybe a little over his head in the American turf, ran against some really good horses in that race. But since that race, I know that it's trained better than the Times show, and for it's running in 3 consecutive stakes races. Almost won the Palm Beach at Gulfstream, and then it came back and won the Cutler Bay at Gulfstream. I think it's a good horse, and even though it's 5-2, I really like it. So I'm going with the 6 main event with the 3 Eliza second.
Okay, Bri.
So again, I like main event, but I'm having a hard time throwing a 5-2 into my win because I just want a little bit more. I'm going to go with Grand Motion here. I like Speaking Scout. I think speed-wise, Graham's doing great right now. The workouts are pretty good. Get rid of the last race, bobbled, slow start, and just didn't do anything from there. But won with a decent speed figure and allowance at Keeneland, which is always very competitive. I think I'm going to go with Speaking Scout here. I do have a question for you all because I remember the Del Mar, it's like coming down the hill. Like, how do you look at post positions coming down chutes and hills at Delaware as you would at some of the other races? Or, I mean, I think this race is long enough that even if the one doesn't break first, it has to close a little bit. I don't see that being an issue. So that's why I'm keeping Speaking Scout on top.
I mean, for me on experienced horses, I don't really look too much at post position numbers, except for when they're running, like, say, 7 furlongs. I love an outside post horse that shows speed but can also rate a little bit. But other than that, I mean, you're talking about experienced horses. We're not talking about a 20-horse Kentucky Derby field where the one hole is pretty much a death
Gobbled
sentence.
up. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but and Chris and I talked about this. I handicap on breeding, on class, and watching replays. And also the pace of the race. But if you're not watching replays and see how a horse breaks out of a gate or what kind of trip it's getting, you're missing the boat.
Yeah. So I'll stick with my number 1 here.
Yeah, and Bri, just so you know, I was just looking at the stats. I wouldn't be concerned about the rail. Actually, the rail actually shows a bias. When you're looking at it. So there's 20 races at turf routes. Interesting thing you don't see on turf a lot, but 45% of them actually go wire to wire, which is pretty good statistics. So, but the rail was winning.
I'll call Graham. I'll call Graham. Send him
fast.
All right, so Chris, who do you got?
So my play here, and Eddie, you stole all my thunder, man. I was I did all the work, I watched the replays and we do this and to echo what you said about this 3, Elazar, that if you watch that last replay, and I challenge everybody to go back, this is the replay probably to watch that out of these 2 races. Watch this replay and you'll see it. It does say leap out of the gate, horse left late. You can see he's waiting and he gets up right behind the field, and then he had to get pulled up because he looked like he was going to get in the mix and maybe he could fall over. And then they pulled him back, and then he had a little more go, and then the jockey pulls him back again. I think it was Rosario. Yeah, it was Rosario. Pulls him back again, and then I'm watching the back stretch because I want to see indicators this horse can fly. The horse kind of takes off again. Rosario pulls him back again, and then at the turn, he lets the horse fly. The rail came open, and this horse took off. And I thought for sure when you watch the replay, the horse was going to just win by 100 yards. But what happened is, and this is the definition of a bad trip, first off. But what happened is, it finished last, but it was actually a very strange turf race. Not that everybody finished close together. It was like one big pack, all just swept around, and they went by him. So even though he finished last, it wasn't really like he finished last.
Yeah,
I think there's a
far
lot.
off.
There's a lot to like here. I question if the horse is it a true stalker? I'll pull the stuff up here real quick. But when I look at this pace, and I'd love to see, first off, I was falling in love with the 2, by the way, because the 6 that you like, Eddie, I think the 2 can actually outpace the 6 at the end of the day. So I could be very wrong, but let's just say hypothetically, if there was a scratch and the 6 scratch from this race, and now the 2 is left as the only early speed, I'm telling you, I could like the 2 very, very easily here. But with that being said, I'm going before the scratches out. They may be out. Delaware actually posts their scratches at like 9 o'clock in the morning. So I haven't looked at that yet. But I am going with the 3. I don't want to play the 9, but the 9's a pace play here. The 9 is a lone presser. You'll notice that 9 has some of the best late kick. So I'm 3-9. If you want to bomb this 7, Jamie Ness always concerns me. Jamie Ness is the magic man when it comes to claiming races. I don't know about stakes. I think he struggles with stakes a little bit, but I look at it, and him and Jamie Rodriguez, 34% connect. That's pretty good, especially when there's 65 examples. 34% they connect. If you want a bomb from me, 7, Uncle Irish. And again, when I pull it up, and this is the computer talking, not me, I look at some of these numbers and results, and I see the 7's got pretty good early kick. I see he's got some stamina here, and from the algorithm standpoint, he's my biggest bubble. Give him some consideration.
Chris, talk about that for the listeners and viewers, and maybe even for Bri as well. You know, I'm looking at the total pace, and there's that big bubble on the 7, and even in the early pace, there's a bigger bubble on the 7 than some of the other horses, but it doesn't show it in first, with the 1 and the 2, so to speak. So talk about that for a little bit.
Absolutely. So when I look at it, and you look at the total pace of the horse early and late, and you look at it, so really to me it's more of a stamina, and you look at the distance and all, but 2, 7 are the ones that stick out. 2 really stands out on paper. Early pace wise, the 2. Now I have algorithms. It's kind of like the Heinz 57. I don't really know if there's 57 angles I have in there, but it could be 157 angles. Mm-hmm. But the angles that I use, and I go back and look at profile of winners, that's what I look at with the bubble size. So from that standpoint, 7 looks pretty good on the computer. Early pace to 2, and I look at the late pace 1 and the 9. And what helped me the other day on Stable Duel was, again, I'm not always trying to pick winners, because you can't do that. If you try to do that in every race, you're going to run out of salary, and you're probably going to lose. So sometimes your best bet is to find a horse here with some late kick. But on paper, Eddie, it looks like to me, if I'm not looking at anything else, and I didn't crack a PP, I'm 2-7. Now you'll notice there's one horse that doesn't show up here. That's my top pick, the 3. Because for whatever reason, when that race ran, there was no ratings for the horse. So I don't know. It's probably Belmont and their clockers. So Bri, I don't know if you know how to clock, but maybe that would be something else you could pick up on your spare time. But that's kind of a little bit of insight in what we're doing. I am playing the Stable Duel today. I don't know if I'll be able to do all of them, but
what's your stable name?
Horse Player X.
Perfect. Okay.
X stables.
Can we talk about getting rid of the Lucha Libre mask on your?
No, I said okay. So Eddie said this to me. and this goes to the earlier conversation of like Twitter friends that you never meet in person. He talked about it, and I was like, I knew who Horse Player X was, because as soon as someone said Horse Player X, I remember your avatar. So to me, I think it's perfect because that's how I know people on Twitter is their avatar. And sometimes when there's stuff like that, it's a lot easier to remember them. So I vote keep it.
Well, listen, is Pete? I always say this: is Peter Parker Spider-Man?
So Bri, before we started this, I mean, this is our third show doing it together. We've done some other shows with Horse Racing Today as well, but he goes, "All right, we got to keep this to 35 minutes." And I laughed in the back of my head. I go, Bri and I talk on the phone for 35 minutes. I go, that's not going to happen. And now we're at almost an hour. So
there are good stories and good learning though. And really, actually, we probably should do it. And Chris, if you're willing, we'll do one that just talks about the spot plays and what you're looking at, because I remember coming in and handicapping. And I know Timeform does something and Equibase does something too for like setting up races. And I was like, I don't get it, and I think there's a lot of that stuff out there that people don't understand, but can help their handicapping. But it's weird because I think as a newbie to look at what you just showed, like, do you just look at the late pace and you're like, oh, well, it shows the one's going to win. So I think to have some insight so that people understand what this means and how you can group that into your handicapping is important. So maybe we do, separate one.
That's a great idea. And I know we're going to wrap this up eventually. Maybe we won't. Maybe we'll just talk until post time or something. But Bri, tell the viewers and the listeners about how they can get a $10 credit today, and what link they should go to and things like that.
Yeah, so you can download the Stable Duel app. You can go to the iOS Apple Store and download it. We're not in the Google Play Store, which is a little intimidating, but I guess some Android users are used to stuff like that. So go to Stable Duel's website, click Play Now. That'll take you to the download page, and the Android link is right there. It will come up and say it's a direct download. Do you trust it? We're so trustworthy, obviously. But yes, Android, it's free to download, and we have free games. I don't think we have a free ride today, but if you want to download and create an account, just hit me up on Twitter, hit Stable Duel up on Twitter, and we'll give you that $10 credit today so that you can play in a paid game today. But it's exciting. And it's funny because to the point of like what you spend at a traditional ADW bet and like each, race, you could spend $25 in one Stable Duel game. And again, that's one bet for the entire card. So it might be intimidating, but think of what you're doing at a traditional ADW. If you're already doing the work, like take a swing in a Stable Duel game, because it's a lot easier to win money in Stable Duel than it is a pick six. Yes, you're not winning that $10,000 potentially, but you're doubling, tripling, or, I think we had a $50, $500 payouts yesterday. We've had $40,000 games where someone's won $15,000. I mean, the money is there, but it's fun to play, and you can try to beat Chris and Eddie. So there's that.
Well, that's not going to happen. But and also for the viewers, Bri is a glamour girl. She's beautiful. She's always dressed sharp, but don't think that she doesn't work hard, because I saw her at Tampa Bay Downs in 90-degree heat, walking out on the rail, giving out T-shirts, promoting Stable Duel. So don't think she's just traveling in first class and doing everything. She works pretty hard for what she's accomplished here. So just kudos to you. A little shout out to you, Bri.
Yeah, if people are like, I want your life, I was like, you really don't, though. You don't. But no, I think grass is greener on the other side for everybody. I'm very blessed to be in the position that I am, and I've worked hard to get here. And, we all do the best that we can in what we're doing. So I'm just excited to meet new people and hopefully win some races,
Awesome.
And we'll see you at Saratoga this summer at some point, right?
Yep. I think towards the end of July, I'm going to make a trip.
Yeah. Eddie,
Chris, where are you?
I am up in the lovely state of New Hampshire.
Oh, okay. Well, so they're not that far.
We're not that far. Eddie, I got to show one thing for me, because I did pull this up, and I would feel bad if I did not show this to you. just for the record, before we end the show. And I got Bri full screen.
There we go.
But
Attaboy.
look at this. So we are 12 days, 3 hours, 59 minutes, and 12 seconds from Saratoga's first race.
All right. Well, now you got to
July
follow
14th.
me. You got to follow me for a second here, because
All right. I guess
this is why I'm here, not just for Saratoga, but for.
I thought we're going for the bear.
Well, I mean, what, you want the bear skin over there?
I know. That's where you're going.
No, this is my view from my cabin here.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
So
Lake
That's
George
why
is so pretty.
well, that's not Lake George. That's actually.
Oh, that's right.
It's the lake is actually called Lake Vinar. It's in the town of Lake Luzerne, which is I'm 5 miles from Lake George. But the great thing about this lake is no gas-powered motors are allowed. It's only electric trolling motors, paddle boats, kayak canoes. So it's like, I mean, I've spent this may not go over well, but my shower sometimes is just jumping in the lake. It's so clean.
Guilty.
Eddie, my bigger thing is, did you kill all those animals that are on your wall?
Only one.
Okay.
One.
I can imagine Eddie being a better handicapper than he is a hunter.
Yeah, me too.
Well, that's probably true. That's arguably true. So.
All right.
All right.
Cool.
Well, before you shut off, Chris, Bri, when we do shut off, stay on. Don't log off.
Okay.
For a minute.
Thank you, Bri. We appreciate you being on and staying on with us for over an hour.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Everybody,
this was so much fun.
It was fun, and everybody, I hope you have a great day. Hope you win some good bets, cash some tickets, and win some stable duels. So we'll talk to you guys all next week.